Another person was taken aside and handcuffed and brought out, and we were moved into another room for safety reasons, they told us.
My story on this has been the same all along, and the FBI now has 5 versions of their story, which I clearly lay out with a time period and with each version, and they're not credible. There is absolutely no excuse for the reason why. Number one, we were left on the plane for 20 minutes, not knowing if there was another bomb there. Number two, security allowing us to take our carry-on bags off the plane, and we stood there with all of our bags together for an hour until the bomb-sniffing dogs arrived. And then, after they found one, well, then we're moved to another area, and now they don't want to talk about the man who was taken away.
You were there. They didn't stop him for immigration violations. The dog went over and sat down in front of his bag, the alert for explosives.
Right, exactly.
Unless this is a passport-sniffing dog. This is a huge story, one of the biggest out there. The FBI is on this full-time. They know what's going on. Why are they being dishonest? And how do we investigate this when the investigators themselves are engaged in clear obstruction of the truth?
I don't know how else to take it. It's either utter incompetence or intentionally hiding something, and I don't know how to take it.
I came out to the media and I said, look, that's not possible. These were bomb-sniffing dogs, not agricultural sniffing dogs. And this went on 5 times, and then they finally quit talking about him and gave up. But they kept changing their story about him. Obviously it would be easier for them to say, like they did the man in Tan Su, that he just didn't exist, but they couldn't do that because there were so many witnesses. So that's how they handled that man. But eventually they just gave up on even talking about him. Interestingly enough, at the end of January 2010, when this case was about a month old, well, a little earlier on, we had Obama come out and say, hey, this was just a series of mistakes that we made, and we need to beef up our security procedures or what have you. But then recently after that, we had 2 important things at the end of January 2010. One was an ABC News article by Brian Ross, where he came out and said, yeah, this man in tan suit that was witnessed by passengers, he said passengers, but really it was just me, that, we're looking into this guy and we think he actually helped the underwear bomber so that he wouldn't get cold feet. They didn't go so far as to admit what I had been saying, that that would have been impossible, that he was Al-Qaeda, because he went to the desk and said, we do this all the time, and then he had enough authority to walk down this hallway in a secure area and talk to the manager and get the man on the flight. So obviously Al-Qaeda couldn't do that, but they did admit the existence of the man in this article. So to me that was a big story, because it was not only the first time they admitted his existence, but they've never admitted his existence after that. But at least we have it once detailed. Not only that, but it's by ABC News, so fairly credible media, at least to some. But later in January 2010, we had hearings in Congress on this, where we had Undersecretary of State Patrick Kennedy come out, and if you watch the video of him, it's pretty telling that he's trying to cover up something and not tell the truth. He's squirming in his chair and seems really uncomfortable answering the questions. And this video is all over the internet if you want to Google it and look at it. But what he said is basically, we knew Abdul Muttalib was a terrorist. We wanted to stop him from coming in the country and revoke his visa.
There have been numerous cases where our unilateral and uncoordinated revocation of a visa would have disrupted important investigations that were underway by one of our national security partners. They had the individual under investigation, and our revocation action would have disclosed U.S. government's interest in that individual and ended our colleagues' ability, such as the FBI, to pursue the case quietly and to identify terrorist plans and co-conspirators.
But we had a request from an intelligence agency, and he didn't say which one. What he said was, we'll talk about it in closed session. And he said we had a request from an intelligence agency that they're tracking Abdul Muttalib. They want to let him into the U.S. to follow him and to catch bigger fish and they honored that request in order to let whatever intelligence agency do their business so that they wouldn't knock out one lone soldier in the war on terror, and they could essentially follow him in the U.S. and catch accomplices. So that's what they admitted to. But Patrick Kennedy went on to say there's more to this we need to talk about in closed session, and that's kind of where it ended. So obviously, I don't believe that for a minute. What I believe through, and what's been shown through the evidence, I believe, is that an intelligence agency gave Abdul-Muttalib an intentionally defective bomb and put him on the plane to stage a fake terrorist attack. So those two things early on raised a lot of red flags with me, and then because of that, I just started paying attention to every single detail in this case, going to all the court hearings, and it's just been one contradiction after another, one lie after another. You know, the media not wanting to report on things, and it's just, to me, it's a very, very obvious staged event.
And that was our exclusive interview with Kurt Haskell, witness and outspoken critic of the entire fraudulent underwear bomber case, another false flag set up to enslave us and force us through body scanners, shut down our travel. But that was only part 2. We have another part coming up. Of course, it'll all be up for our great Prison Planet subscribers later. But now, of course, we turn to our quote of the day. Coming up after the break is, of course, none other than Sheriff Richard Mack. It's going to be a great interview. Such a great guy, a constitutionalist, can't go wrong. He's going to run actually in Congress against some of these unconstitutional monsters who've been in office for decades, vote for NDAA, internet control bills, everything. Anyway, our quote is from Arnold J. Toynbee. There's another Arnold Toynbee as well, the elder. This Toynbee was 1889 to 1975 lifespan. He was actually the first president of the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the public branch off that is the sister organization to the Council on Foreign Relations, all coming from the Rhodes, Cecil Rhodes secret society that steers so much of our modern day, all based on that Jesuit model of secret societies, based on that Illuminati model of secret societies, always working in secret. And here's that quote from Professor Arnold Toynbee, best known for his 12-volume series, A Study of History. We are presently working discreetly with all our might to wrest this mysterious force called sovereignty out of the clutches of the local nation states of the world. That's right, they want to destroy sovereignty. That quote's from 1931. You've heard the other quotes, the founding quote of the CFR about how they want to undermine, circumvent, destroy national sovereignty, and all the other players that are part of the system. Bilderberg, again, is a branch from the Cecil Rhodes Secret Society, and it's just crazy. Crazy what these people are involved in. We're going to continue to expose them and stop them because we have no other choice. This is our future. This is our lives. This is our right. We have a right to the life, to our lives, to our pursuit of happiness, and that's just the way it is. We're never going to stop. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Of course, Alex will be speaking this Sunday at the High Lie in Orlando, Florida. It's sold out, but you'll be able to see it later on the web if you're not able to attend, as well as the speaking engagement last week in Dallas, Texas. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back with Sheriff Richard Mack.
America is in trouble.
Washington is a disgrace.
Government has become too big. It's overtaxing, overspending.
We need to change direction.
We really need change.
We can't afford to make the same mistakes we've made in the past.
Mitt Romney's reputation as a flip-flopper.
He went the other way when he got paid to go the other way.
There is need for economic stimulus.
It's about serial hypocrisy.
This election is about trust. There's been one true consistent candidate, and that's Dr. Ron Paul.
Ron Paul has been so consistent from the very beginning.
He seems like a more honest candidate.
He tells the truth about what he believes, whether you like it or not.
He's never once voted for a tax increase, never once voted for an unbalanced budget.
Ron Paul's plan is bold, cuts 5 departments. It's what we need.
When he says he's going to cut $1 trillion in the first year, I believe it.
If you don't like how things are going and you're tired of politicians, he's something different.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul
is the one we've been looking for.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
Greetings, fellow Info Warriors. Alex Jones here, announcing the first of many trips that I'm going to take across this wonderful United States that we live in. And we get so busy here at Infowars.com, the nightly news, the daily radio show, the documentary films, and all the other things we're doing that I tend to never go out and give speeches anymore. And I've got a lot of ideas bubbling around in my head about the history of the New World Order, what makes them tick and how to defeat them. So I'm titling this key speech I'm going to give. It'll run around 2 hours long, Blueprint to Defeat the New World Order. And we're also going to have a surprise premiere of a short documentary film we've been working on at the event. First off, I'm going to be going to Dallas, Texas, Sunday, February 19th, 2012, to the historic Lakewood Theater. And the next Sunday, February 26th, I'm going to be in Orlando, Florida. You can find out more about the events and buy tickets at Infowars.com/events. Now, unfortunately, every event I've ever had, we've had to turn people away. So get your tickets early at Infowars.com/events. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this world. And the craziest of all is this explosive awakening. I can't wait to meet you and shake your hand. I'll see you in Dallas and I'll see you in Orlando. Infowars.com/events.
And we're back from break. We're joined now by a guest who really needs no introduction for our audience, but he is the former sheriff of Graham County, Arizona, and you know him better as Sheriff Richard Mack. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, Aaron. Good to be with you
again.
Yeah, so no Alex, huh?
Well, Alex is on the road. He just spoke in Dallas last Sunday, and then he's going to be speaking in Orlando this Sunday.
Well, I'm glad he's keeping busy. You know, good job.
Yeah, he's reaching out, and we're trying to make this awakening happen.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be shocked if he's busier than I am.
Yes, sir.
But I'm glad he's busy. So.
Well, tell us what all you're up to, because it's quite a bit.
Well, as you know, we just completed our first Constitutional Sheriff Convention in Las Vegas, and that was January 30th. And I'm going to tell you, it was just an absolute resounding success. It couldn't have been better. I guess the only way it could have been better is if instead of having 90 sheriffs, that we would have had 150 or 200. We did a grassroots effort to raise the money for this event. We paid for all the sheriffs' travel expenses. We paid for the hotel. We paid for their food. And the people all across America made that happen for us. And now, absolutely, we want to have another one, and we're planning to have another one. And what this convention did for all of us, including the sheriffs that were there, it proved this works. Yeah. It absolutely proved that what we're doing is legitimate. And I mean, here we have the Denver Post article about it. And what is the headline? Emerging movement encourages sheriffs to act as a shield against federal tyranny. And people want to call that crazy or radical.
Couldn't be more constitutional.
It's absolutely constitutional. It's American, for God's sakes. Nobody should do anything about tyranny. Just let the federal government do whatever they're going to do. Right now, we have the EPA shutting.
Another person was taken aside and handcuffed and brought out, and we were moved into another room for safety reasons, they told us.
My story on this has been the same all along, and the FBI now has 5 versions of their story, which I clearly lay out with a time period and with each version, and they're not credible. There is absolutely no excuse for the reason why. Number one, we were left on the plane for 20 minutes, not knowing if there was another bomb there. Number 2, security allowing us to take our carry-on bag.
You were there. They didn't stop him for immigration violations. The dog went over and sat down in front of his bag. The alert for explosives.
Right. Exactly.
Unless this is a passport-sniffing dog. This is a huge story, one of the biggest out there. The FBI is on this full-time. They know what's going on. Why are they...
Bags off the plane, and we stood there with all of our bags together for an hour until the bomb-sniffing dogs arrived. And then, after they found one, well, then we're moved to another area, and now they don't want to talk about the man who was taken away.
being dishonest? And how do we investigate this when the investigators themselves are engaged in clear obstruction of the truth?
You know, I don't know how else to take it. It's either utter incompetence or intentionally hiding something, you know, and I don't know how to take it.